When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِقَوْمٍ حَتَّى يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِأَنفُسِهِمْ. Another ayah that's frequently misunderstood. That verily Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not change the condition of a people until they change the condition of themselves. This doesn't mean that you just sit back and say, let me work on my own taqwa and then everything will be okay in the ummah. No, that means that, you know what, if I'm guilty of dhulm, if I'm a transgressor in my own right. Yesterday there was a sister that was asking about being beaten in her home. If I'm beating my wife at home, then I don't need to be looking at the TV and looking at Bashar al-Assad. I need to look in the mirror. I need to worry about the zalim in me, the transgressor within me. If I wrong my kids, if I cheat people in my business, I need to worry about that. And if I'm complaining about Sisi in Egypt, or Bashar in Syria, or whoever they may be, I need to make sure that if I was in that situation, I would not be just like them. Because the fact of the matter is that when you look at societies, Muslim societies, you find theft, you find cheating. Right? I always tell people this, that the first time you meet a Muslim in the masjid, religious and practicing, you say, MashaAllah. Then when you deal with them outside of the masjid, that MashaAllah quickly becomes Astaghfirullah. What happened to you? I thought he was religious. I thought she was great. Right? Man, I was wrong about you. And many of us, when we complain about these rulers and these leaders, we would do the exact same thing if we were in those situations. I need to rectify my own affairs. I need to rectify the affairs of my family. That does not mean that I become neglectful of the ummah around me and I don't worry about the causes around me. You know, the Salaf, they used to have a dua that they used to say. And subhanAllah, this is narrated by Imam al-Muaz-zin rahimahullah ta'ala and others. He said that the Salaf, they used to say, Allahumma naqqina min al-dhunubi wal-khataya lati takris al-du'a. Wa naqqina min al-dhunubi wal-khataya lati tanzil al-bala. Incredible dua. Oh Allah, purify us from the sins that cause our supplications to not be answers. And purify us from the sins that cause hardship and tribulation to come upon the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When I see what's going on in Gaza, when I see an earthquake take place somewhere, I don't say to myself, that was Allah punishing those people because they used to do this and this and that. You know, subhanAllah, it's interesting because I'm from New Orleans. And I mentioned yesterday Hurricane Katrina. And I remember when Hurricane Katrina took place, unfortunately many mashayikh, I was hearing their khutbahs, they said Allah punished New Orleans because of Mardi Gras. Clearly, that's Allah's wisdom for doing this. That's why it happened. Allah punished New Orleans for Mardi Gras. And I thought to myself, how idiotic and stupid do you have to be to say something like that? And subhanAllah, there are two streets in New Orleans for a few days of the year that are full of fahsha, that are full of corruption, that are full of what you guys have here, the carnival, right? We have two streets in New Orleans, a few days of the year, that are like that. And you know what? The French Quarter, where that takes place, was the least affected area in Hurricane Katrina. Explain that to me. Explain that to me. The people that were killed in Hurricane Katrina and that died were people that lived in the poorest neighborhoods. And I don't want to talk about the levees busting and who was behind that and why poor neighborhoods were flooded while the rich neighborhoods were saved. But there were poor people that died. You don't look at that and say, Allah's punishing them because of that. No, when hardship befalls the ummah, what have I done? Because Allah says, ظَهْرَ الْفَسَادَ فِي الْبَرِّ وَالْبَحْرِ, that verily corruption has appeared on the land and on the sea. بِمَا كَسَبَتْ أَيْدِي النَّاسِ, because of what man's hands have earned. Not because of those people. When I see what happens in Palestine, I don't say that the people of Palestine must be really messed up because Allah is testing them severely. When I see what happens in Syria, I don't say that, oh, this is because they started listening to this type of music and that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala destroyed them. When I see a tsunami take place somewhere, I don't say, well, that's because of what happens on the beaches there. You don't know Allah's wisdom. You don't know why Allah is doing things. And that's actually the last talk for tonight is, why does Allah? You don't know. You have no clue. But what you do know is that when hardship falls upon the ummah, it's you and I that we need to look at. We need to look at ourselves. We need to look at ourselves. Because of the hadith that I mentioned earlier. إِنَّ النَّاسَ إِذَا رَأَوُا الْمُنْكَرَ لَا يُغَيِّرُونَهُ أَوْشَكَ أَنْ يَعُمُّهُمُ اللَّهُ بِعِقَابِهِ. When people see evil and they don't do anything about it, the wrath of Allah befalls them collectively.